So I just picked this up off of Giant in the city, Giant Adelaide. It's a demo bike. I've got it for a couple of days. The major reason I wanted to ride this bike is because of the suspension. So I want to try this Fox. Obviously the DPX2 shot. I've got the Float X2 on my bike, but the 36 is more so. Heard a fair bit about them and yeah, pretty eager. More so what this video is about is setup. So I've just picked it up from the shop and had a ride around on it, got the feel for it. It had the Giant standard bars, which are quite low. It's a 19mm rise, so it's a quite low cockpit setup, and they don't have much back sweep. So I bounced around for them a bit, didn't feel confident on them, so I took them off. I put my Renthals on here, so I've set it up to how I like my bar sweep, how I like my bar roll, sorry. Obviously the height's similar to what I'm used to, and all the levers are where I want them to be. So when you buy a new bike, or you borrow a bike, or you know, you acquire a bike, whatever, the most important part about it is getting it set up so you're confident. The bar roll makes a huge difference in how you feel in corners, how much confidence you have in corners. Changes the characteristics hugely. So get that right, you know, find a spot where you're comfortable, or even just on the street, just bouncing left and right, doing figure eights or whatever. Experiment with the roll, get it right. You'll never look at it again, you'll never even think about it again, it'll be perfect. Your lever position, you shouldn't have your hand shouldn't be out off the bar here in order to grab the end of the lever with your finger. It should be on the center of the grip properly, and your index finger should come right to the end of the lever where that crook is. So get that set up, and then your down versus up, you know, you're more vertical or more horizontal. That's personal preference. I don't like them too vertical, but horizontal puts my wrists a bit more like this, and you end up just jacking up these muscles here, and it's not a lot of fun, and yeah, it's not my preference. So get the bike set up. Sag, I've gone roughly 30% in the back, roughly 20% in the front. I've done a run already. I was a bit firm in the front, so I've softened it up. I'm running 75 now in the front with buggerel compression at the moment, so I'll dial that in as I go. Rebound just to taste. And the rear I'm running at 180 psi at the moment. Before I had it at 190 and it was way too stiff. It was pushing me around a bit, so it was pushing me over the front of the bike a bit. So soften that up. I might even go a little softer. We'll see how it goes this run. But yeah, introduction to the bike. SRAM GX 175 cranks again, which I'm not a fan of. It's a medium bike. There's no reason why there should be 175mm cranks on a low bottom bracket descending bike. It's a pet gripe of mine, but it's just, for us descenders, we want clearance. Either a higher bottom bracket or shorter cranks, and shorter cranks for everything. Your legs don't have to travel as far when you're sprinting up and down wise. Sure, you get more leverage from a longer crank, but we don't want leverage, we want clearance. So please, if you're building a bike from scratch, or if you're a bike manufacturer, anyone from Giant, stop with the long cranks. It's just overdone. They used to do long stems, now they're coming out with short stems, which is killer. This is a 40mm stem, feels pretty good so far, but long cranks, bad news. You'll smash your pedals on rocks. You'll be hesitant to pedal where you used to pedal on, you know, bikes with more clearance. It's just not a lot of fun. But other than that, let's see how it goes. So I've been up here for a little while now, I've done a few runs. Mainly sections. There's a real rough left-hander about a quarter of the way down the track. That's quite a high-speed rough entry, and then the corner itself's a little bit rough and the exit's rough, and you've got to hold speed out of that exit as well. So I kind of use that to get the setup for this right. So if you come into it and your forks are too soft or pogo-y, it's just going to be like, it's not going to be good. You come in and the forks are too firm, it's just going to push you around. Same with the rear shock. Too soft, it's just going to blow through the travel, and you're not going to get that push out of the corner, and you're not going to float on top of the hole, on top of the bumps. And if it's too firm, it's just going to go whack whack, and every bump that it hits, instead of absorbing it, it's just going to back end boop boop boop. It's just going to shoot you around. So spend a fair bit of time. I feel like I've got the air pressure about right. I'm smashing my pedals everywhere. The long cranks are no good, but take that out of the equation. The air pressure's probably right at 180 psi at the back and 75 at the front. Low speed compression, so started with bugger all, and it was fairly active and fairly wily through the rough stuff. Especially trying to set up and trying to move the bike across lines to open up the corner and whatnot, open up the entry. So dialed that on a bit, and the more I dialed on, the more it was control, obviously. Faster rebound in the back helped to make the back feel smoother. Obviously there's no low speed compression in the back, it's just rebound. Back to the forks, the low speed compression ended up with 7 clicks, I believe. 6 clicks. I settled on 7 for a bit there and then I buttoned it off. 7 gives me a real good ability to load the bike out of corners and really hop off of where there's not a lot of grip, push off and get to the next line. But it's a little bit choppy over the small stutter bumps where you're trying to hold speed. So 6 to 7 is fine. High speed compression, and that's 6 to 7 from fully open, not fully closed. High speed compression, let's just count it. Seven clicks. High speed compression is 7 clicks from fully open, and that went from as I was coming through, everything was kind of bumpy and just not stable. There was no stability at the front. It felt like it was still too stiff, still too rough. So high speed compression, just 2 clicks at a time, and eventually it started to smooth off a bit more. Same section of trail, same speed. Smoothed off a bit more, and then it got a little bit too stiff. So backed it off a little bit, so what we've ended up with is 7 clicks. Feels really good. Rebound is nice and fast. I'm not sure how many clicks out on the rebound, but that's the thing with these forks with the high and low speed compression as well. When you move the high speed dial, it actually changes the setup of the low speed dial. So if you're going to change your high speed, just go back and then count your clicks in again on the low speed so you can get everything right. Rebound is fast. So I could go 1 click slower, but 2 clicks slower is just rough. It's no good. And it feels like I can't load the corners as well. The grip kind of disappears a little bit. Back end, rebound's nice and fast as well. So I got 10 clicks from fully slow on the rebound at the back, and the thing feels really good. I just had a massive moment at the very bottom step down. Came in a little bit slow, still wanted to huck it just to see what it feels like to land to flat on this gear here. Now, I came in, hovered over the booter that sends you into it, and didn't quite have the speed, so I pumped and then popped, and because I popped, I kind of popped off of something awkward. Still got down to the flat easily, obviously, but I went long and I landed very front heavy and a little bit sideways, and it literally felt like I was landing on a cloud of donuts or something. Super soft. The fork saved my life for sure. Well, not my life, but saved me from having a bit of blood and skin missing. And yeah, so far these 36s feel really good. They seem to be a little harder to set up than the Lyrics. They are really smooth, but I'm not on the sweet spot yet. The Lyrics, I found it quite easy to get on the sweet spot, and they really feel doughy. The Lyrics feel super efficient, but doughy on the big hits. These feel like cloud. They feel like more of a cloud on the big hits, but yeah, it's still kind of darting around a little bit. So I know I'll have more of a play and a few more laps, and we'll see how it goes.